courtesy in helping us put this together, Tom. Thank you, sir. Representative McCosey, did anything? I do want to recognize Representative Josh Shapiro, who has joined us, and he's a member of the committee and also a member of the delegation down here. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Representative Lentz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to thank Mayor McCosey. The mayors against illegal guns have supported this legislation and other common sense legislation to curb gun violence, in particular the illegal trafficking of handguns. And it's been a good thing, I think, for communities like Upper Darby, but also communities across the state, because that has been a bipartisan effort. These solutions should not be partisan one way or the other. They're common sense, objective things that can be fixed to help reduce the access that criminals have to guns. We are here today to discuss a very specific problem. And let me say from the outset, we have not reached a conclusion on how to solve that problem. I thank Chairman Calder-Jerome. He has agreed to do these hearings, and he has been supportive throughout the deliberative process. So what I would say to the members of the audience and those following these hearings is, we are here to solve a problem. We're open to your solutions, your suggestions on how to solve that problem. What is the problem? There is a loophole in the Pennsylvania law currently dealing specifically with the issue of carrying of a concealed weapon. So just to make it clear, we're not talking today about gun ownership. That's protected in the Pennsylvania and U.S. Constitution. It's an important right. We're talking today about the right to carry a gun concealed on your person on a public street. In Pennsylvania, if you want to carry a gun open to observation where police and others can see that you're carrying a gun, you have a right to do that. But if you want to hide a gun on your person, if you want to conceal a gun and carry that in a public place, that is subject to regulation. That is the current state of the law. What we're here today to address is a gap in that law. And let me see if I can illustrate how that gap is causing problems and is affecting our local law enforcement. Here in Upper Darby, if a resident of Upper Darby wants to carry a concealed gun, they have to apply to the Delaware County Sheriff. The sheriff will do an investigation of that individual, which goes beyond a background check, goes beyond seeing whether or not the person has a criminal record. They want to find out, is this the kind of person we want carrying a concealed weapon on the streets in Upper Darby? And they can look at a variety of sources. They can see whether or not that person has multiple arrests, whether or not that person is the guy that goes to the bar every Friday night and gets in a fight. They can look as to whether or not that person has a history of domestic violence. They can, if they want, talk to the Upper Darby Police Department and say, do you know this person who is applying to carry a concealed weapon? Is there anything we should be concerned about? And based upon all that information, they can deny that person the right to carry a concealed handgun. Or if they issue the concealed permit and months or days or weeks later, that individual has contact with Upper Darby Police or other local law enforcement, and it's the kind of contact that causes the law enforcement to say, hey, we don't want this person carrying a gun, they can call the sheriff and say, revoke the permit to carry. Well, in both those cases currently under the law, where the permit has been denied by the local sheriff or where the permit has been revoked by the local sheriff, that individual can go to the state of Florida or other states online. They don't have to physically go to Florida. They can do this through the mail and say, issue me a permit from the Department of Agriculture in the state of Florida, and that I can use that permit as a Pennsylvania resident with no connection whatsoever to the state of Florida to carry a gun in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, or in other parts of our state. And local law enforcement has to recognize that permit. It acts essentially as a get-out-of-jail-free card. If local police stop someone and they have a gun and a Florida permit, they have to give them their gun back and send them on their way. Well, local police, as would appear obvious, are concerned about that. They're concerned about the ability to control who carries concealed weapons in their communities. They know best. They know their communities best. local police, local sheriffs know best who should and should not be carrying concealed weapons. This problem, I think, was described very well in a letter dated yesterday from our county sheriff, Sheriff Joe McGinn, who writes in support of this legislation. And he's one of many sheriffs throughout the state, Republican and Democrat, who have supported this legislation. The proliferation of handguns in our communities, this is from Sheriff McGinn's letter dated August 9th, 2010. The proliferation of handguns in our communities makes it mandatory that the legislature and law enforcement work in partnership to keep guns out of the hands of those deemed by our offices to be unfit to receive a permit to carry. The reciprocity agreements between states were never intended to act as an avenue to allow those rejected in Pennsylvania to get permits by the back door from other states. Therefore, the proposed legislation to close off such access by Pennsylvania residents is both timely and necessary for the protection of our residents, our communities, and our law enforcement officers. We urge the state legislature to pass 2536 in as timely a fashion as possible. Sincerely, Joseph F. McGinn, Sheriff, County of Delaware. That, I think, really summarizes why we're here. I want to thank everybody that showed up today. I want to thank in advance the witnesses and again the chairman, the mayor, and everybody that facilitated this hearing. This is an important issue. I've outlined the problem. The purpose of the hearing today is to determine what's the best solution. What can we do to help our local law enforcement and to fix this problem? Thank you.
Thank you.